and welcome to Brewing Brilliance, a podcast where we talk to academics from across the university who are involved with the Healthy Ageing and Chronic Conditions Research Institute. We will be speaking to researchers who are leading innovative interdisciplinary approaches to promote lifelong health, delivering improved interventions to manage chronic conditions more efficiently. These sessions are essentially opportunities for us within the Healthy Ageing and Chronic Conditions Research Institute to meet colleagues from across and beyond our faculty to foster knowledge sharing, collaboration and networking. My name is Adrienne Cleverly, and today we are joined by Libby Littlehales. Libby has been a practicing solicitor for over 15 years and prior to that trained as a barrister. In 2017, she was given a life-changing diagnosis of multiple sclerosis. She started researching diet as a lifestyle modification to enable living well with the disease. The information available on the internet was confusing and often contradictory. Researching new evidence on nutrition in MS became a passion, and in 2023 she was successful in securing faculty funding at Swansea University to start research on nutrition in MS at the School of Psychology. Welcome, Libby, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm going to start by asking, are you able to tell us a bit about the background into your research and what actually led to your research area?
Well, particularly nutrition in multiple sclerosis and how that would have an implication on the psychological aspect of living well with multiple sclerosis.
So that's the specific area that you're focusing on then for your
Yes.
research?
So particularly cognition and fatigue, which are the two most reported symptoms in people with multiple sclerosis, and ones that with the disease-modifying therapies that are available are not necessarily targeted by the disease-modifying therapies. The disease-modifying therapies generally target further relapses, but not necessarily those sort of issues that they have, that people with multiple sclerosis have day to day.
And you've got that first-hand experience of having changed your diet and sort of moved.
Yes.
You found the benefits yourself, and that's, I'm guessing, what sparked your interest.
When I was diagnosed, I wasn't offered any nutritional advice, so I didn't see a dietitian, and I had to go out and find that information myself, which I found very hard on the internet because there just wasn't that available. There wasn't one place to go to look at all different types of diets. There are several diets out there. There's nothing specific. There's nothing specifically targeted at fatigue or cognition. And so therefore, people with multiple sclerosis are left in this area of just searching the internet to try and find anything that they can to make themselves better.
And you touched on it as well with like that point of diagnosis. Often that's an overwhelming stage for people to sort of have that information, and then you're expected to retain all the information you've been given.
Exactly.
And it's quite, but also that, like you said, there's lots of barriers to why people do, and sometimes it's because it just wasn't said to them at the right time, at the time that they were able to absorb it or take it in.
I know there are, certainly in Morrison Hospital, they do put on newly diagnosed days, and they are supposed to, they're designed to give you that information. But I just think sometimes people are not ready to go to those events when they come up, which is generally when you've been newly diagnosed.
Because I touched on it briefly in the introduction, there is advice out there, but it's about knowing what's the right advice, isn't it?
Yes.
Or also what might work for the person.
And it's certainly contradictory. What's available on the internet, some diets say take this out, some diets say leave this in. And so when people are having such a life-changing diagnosis as multiple sclerosis, a lot of people, when they see this conflicting information, decide that they're not going to do anything other than what the neurologists offer them, which is the disease-modifying therapies. Now, the disease-modifying therapies are good at reducing relapses, but not necessarily living well. So when you've got symptoms such as fatigue and cognition, the disease-modifying therapies are not designed to make that better. Some can alleviate these symptoms, but they can't necessarily target that element of it. So it's this living well with the disease that is so important.
Like you said, it's really contradictory as well, isn't it? So, you know, with having that background, you're able to support people to follow the right information.
Yes. So I just felt that I didn't have the sort of credentials really to give people the advice. So doing a PhD means, even though I was already doing research into it, I felt like without a backing of a doctorate, really, I felt like I couldn't offer people this advice and help, and particularly work with neurologists in the long run to try and create something that will sort of make people aware of what's available and out there, such as a web page, or a dietitian at the point of being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
And ultimately offering people that are living with MS to be able to continue to live well.
Yes.
So in the context of your research, what you're looking at specifically, why is it so important to MS in the broader sense?
So a lot of the disease-modifying therapies look to decrease inflammation in the body. So effectively, that's what we're looking to do, but with a supplement rather than with the disease-modifying therapies alongside. So it doesn't matter if some of the participants are taking, there are so many disease-modifying therapies, and we will be looking at which disease-modifying therapies they're doing, if any. But this is very much alongside any disease-modifying therapies that
so
they
it can be used as well as, yes. Or in, it's a personal choice then, I'm assuming.
Yes.
So you've mentioned the inflammation quite a bit there. Is that what's been found to have like a very negative effect on the symptoms of MS?
Yes. Well, we know now that inflammation plays a major role in the progression of the disease. So therefore, we want to look at things that are anti-inflammatory. The one thing that myself and my supervisor, Hayley Young, looked at was polyphenols. And in particular, the trial that we're about to start is on hesperidin, which is a citrus extract. And in that, we're hoping that there'll be a reduction in inflammation, and therefore that might have an implication on cognition and fatigue in people.
So you've touched a bit on your research there. Can you tell us what it looks like at the moment and how you got to the stage that you're at?
So started the PhD in 2023, predominantly looking at initially why people change their diet. So I've done a systematic review, which I'm hoping to be published in the barriers and facilitators to dietary self-management, because that's probably the most important aspect of it. If we're going into a trial, which we are, which I'll talk about in a second, but it's a question of why do people choose or not choose to change their diet. So we looked at that first of all, and then moving forward, we'll be doing a trial in hesperidin, which is a citrus extract, which hopefully we'll see. We've done a test battery, fatigue measures, cognitive tests, mood and depression scores, that sort of thing, and we'll look at that at week 1, and we'll look at that at week 12 following supplements that these participants will be taking. We will be looking at whether or not there's a difference between baseline and 12 weeks after taking this supplement hesperidin, and to see if they feel better, that they've got more energy, that they're able to do these cognitive tests better from baseline than they are at week 12. And then we'll know if their fatigue, if the questions that they answer in the fatigue are different to the questions that they answer, how they answered the fatigue questions are different from week 1 to week 12, then we will see some sort of positive outcome, hopefully. The reason that we chose that is because we had looked at, has it been used in other populations, and it had. It'd been used in diabetes and various other populations, and it had shown anti-inflammatory properties. Then it had also been trialled in mice and rats who were artificially induced with multiple sclerosis, and they had actually seen a remyelination. So we were really interested in that aspect of it, because that's the pinnacle for multiple sclerosis. There's currently nothing out there that can remyelinate. So for us, that would be, fabulous if that's what it did, but we won't be able to necessarily find that out without a lot more funding into these trials. So the first trial will just literally be looking at cognition and fatigue aspect of it, see if it has an anti-inflammatory property. If we see a positive aspect of that, then obviously we can perhaps trial it again. At the moment, we're only trialing it on people with relapse in remitting multiple sclerosis. But in the future, if we see a positive benefit of it, then we will look at trying to get some participants with either secondary or primary progressive multiple sclerosis.
Have you come across anything that surprised you whilst you've been doing your research?
I'm not sure, really. Maybe prior to, I was more confident. When you go into research, you realise how difficult it is to have a definitive answer to things.
Yeah.
And everything needs research on research on research. So maybe that. The fact that, one trial doesn't give you
the answer. It just guides you to how you
to the next one and the next one. So I think I might have, with my research that I did prior to starting the PhD, I probably would have looked at it and thought, well, that's, good knowledge there to take on board. And it is to a degree, but I think now I look for more and more. Just so, particularly when you start doing a systematic review and you compile all the information together, and then you look at what's good and what's perhaps not so good research, and so that really.
I was going to say, where do you see the research in 5 to 10 years? But I'm going to change it to, in the 9 years that you've been doing it, have you seen any big changes in the research?
Yes, just development of what I saw sort of 9 years ago. And what's great about it is that I do think that particularly UK culture is changing to meet it a lot better than it was 9 years ago. So if I went out to eat 9 years ago, there wasn't the options that are available now. So I think perhaps the government are taking on board that, healthy eating is important. And if people are going to be able to do it, then they want to live their life as well. So that's positive.
And going full circle, they want to live their life well.
Yeah.
So they want to be able to enjoy being able to potentially eat out without the concern of, I can't follow my diet if I eat out.
Yeah. And people are, places that you go now are more respectful of dietary restrictions. 9 years ago, that wasn't the case. It was a question of, you can eat a salad and there was nothing else. Salad with absolutely no dressing, or a chickpea curry.
A lot more variety now.
There's a lot more variety now.
Do you know what? I could talk to you for so much longer because this is really interesting. Once you've done your trial, would you be willing to come back?
Yeah, I'd love to.
That would be amazing. Thank you so much for coming to speak to us today.
Okay.
If people would like to get involved, as we've mentioned in the middle of this, please go ahead and scan the QR code and get in touch with Libby. And I will try and attach a link for you as well so that people can reach out. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great.
But if you would like any more information, please visit us at the Healthy Ageing and Chronic Conditions Research Institute at Swansea University. Thank you once again for coming in to speak to us.
Thanks so much.